Hi guys, this is Ranjit and welcome to the Tech Q&A session for the month of May. And here I'll be answering some of your tech related questions. And again, I have divided into a bunch of them. First section is smartphone related. Again, I'll have timestamps below so that you can move around. And last, again, I have left some questions for EV related questions also. So first, okay, look, quite a few questions regarding Pixel smartphones and stuff. So I'll talk about that, and in fact I'll link to some of the products within the YouTube video itself. YouTube has started this new thing where we can link the product directly below the video. You'll see that. So anyways, the first question I got from Mr. Jeet Singh. What would be the best smartphone in the rupees 40 to 50,000 category to buy? Should I wait for the Nothing Phone 2 or should I go for the Pixel 7? So looks like you are leaning towards the Pixel 7, and overall I would say I like the Pixel 7. It's actually much better than the Pixel 7a, though on paper they're very, very similar. This is simply a far better and a far more premium experience, I would say. I'm just not enjoying the experience I'm getting on the Pixel 7a. Nothing Phone 2 hasn't come out, and again, Nothing has not only mentioned when it's going to launch, so I don't think so it's going to come out anytime this month. Maybe around end of June or July you should expect that. We know that the processor will be the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, so again it will not have the heating issues and all those things, so that way it's good. And pricing, again, we don't know. I'm just making a wild guess. It won't be as aggressive as the Nothing Phone 1 because of the processor used, but around 40 to max of 45, that's what I'm expecting. So if you can wait for about that 1.5 or 2 months, just wait for the Nothing Phone 2, because I would say I love the Pixel 7, but because of the Tensor G2 chip, now in summer I'm noticing that this is heating up quite a bit if I use it with mobile data, and specifically if you use it with 5G. The 5G, it drains the battery quite a bit and also heats. So that's the only issue that I have with this one. Else I like the Pixel 7 overall. For the price, again, we are able to get it around close to 50k. But I would say another phone option that I have, and I've recommended to even some of my relatives, is that if your budget is around 55,000, you can definitely go with the OnePlus 11. Yes, in camera, certain areas the Pixel 7's camera will go ahead, but overall I would say I liked using this OnePlus 11 far more than the Pixel 7 because it does not have the heating issues. Battery life is also pretty good, and I feel this is one of the best device at that around 55,000 that you're getting because of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset, I would say. So yeah, again, I'll be posting a full review of this one. I was expecting a lot more smartphones in the Indian smartphone market with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 at this price point beating the OnePlus 11, but that hasn't happened. Anyways, moving to the next one. This is by Anuj. What are your expectations from the Nothing Phone 2? What should be the ideal pricing? As I've told you, the pricing I feel might be around 40,000 realistically, but if they go a little bit bonkers, I would say if they decide to charge quite a bit of premium, then it might be closer to about 45. That's my guess. Again, this is without the credit card offers or something initially when you get it. Generally, every vendor these days is going to have some bundle offers, so might reduce the price a little bit, but that's my expectations. And processor, I'm okay with the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1. That was also a good processor, didn't have any major heating issues. This is by Mr. Vora. He is asking, in the future, if Pixel 7 price is reduced, can you recommend the Pixel 7 over the Pixel 7a? I want the full review of the Pixel 7a. Yes, definitely between the Pixel 7a, this is the Pixel 7a, and the Pixel 7, I would definitely, personally, if I have to pick one, I'll pick up the Pixel 7. Yes, on paper, the specs are very, very similar, but again, this has far better build quality. I feel in thermals also, this is doing a far better job. Even in video with the rear-facing camera, the video is a lot more stable, and definitely, the build quality on this one feels a little bit more polished. So definitely it's a better premium device compared to the Pixel 7. The Pixel 7a is a cheaper version of the Pixel 7, to be very frank. And you can get the Pixel 7 now for around 50k. Maybe in some crazy sales it might go down to about 45, but I don't feel it will go down below that. And for that price, it's good. The only thing is that on mobile data, because of the Tensor G2 chip and the modem that is used, this one also does exhibit quite a bit of heating. So just if you're mostly an outdoor person using only mobile data, then you will not be happy. But again, if you're not a typical a person, in home you have Wi-Fi, in your office you have Wi-Fi, then you should be pretty happy with the Pixel 7. Anyways, moving to the next one. This is by Mr. Dikshit. He says, I have the S21 FE, bought it around the March time. That's the Samsung Galaxy S21 FE. The battery life is just okay. It gives me almost a day screen time on normal usage, but I don't know why it tends to heat sometime, even if when I don't use it. When using social media, it heats up. Tell me something about it. Yes, my wife is also using the Samsung Galaxy S21 FE, and because of the Exynos processor, that is very similar to the processor used on the Pixel 7, I would say. When you're using it mostly on mobile data, this chipset consumes a lot more battery and actually produces quite a bit of heat. That is something that I have actually noticed. So that is the thing that you notice. And again, even on the Pixel 7 and the S21 FE, these are just one-day devices, not 2 days. In fact, I would say in that area, the new Qualcomm chipsets, the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, 8 Plus Gen 2, or even if we talk about the older Snapdragon 778 and the new Snapdragon 7 Gen 2, all are far more optimized chip compared to this one. That's the reason that you're getting. In fact, that's the reason when people ask me about the Galaxy S21 FE, I say if you're a heavy user or a gamer, I don't recommend that because it drains the battery and also heats in those aspects. But it goes ahead in a few things, like camera is actually pretty good now that the price has gone down to close to about 30K. Anyways, moving to the next one. This is by Mohanty. He's saying, sir, is it worth to go for the Pixel 7 Pro now or should I wait for the Series 8? Which one would you pick under rupees 70,000 if camera, software and performance is your top priority? You can go with the 7 Pro. Again, my same thing is that because of the Tensor G2 chip in Indian conditions in outdoors, if it's specifically on mobile data and 5G, it will heat up a lot, I would say. When I reviewed the Pixel 7, I think so it was around the winter time frame, and in that time frame I did not notice that heating issues. But now as summer has come up and they have also enabled the 5G, particularly on mobile data, and if you use 5G, both the Pixel 7 and the Pixel 7 Pro heat up quite a bit. But so again, depends. Again, if you're not going to be using your smartphone mostly on mobile data, you can go for it. But if you're going to use it with mobile data, these smartphones will heat up because of the chipset and the modem that is used. Again, one more thing that I noticed is that, and I noticed that for even on the Pixel 7a, is that the cellular calls were very great. Again, I've tested all this with Airtel SIM. Cellular calls were good, reception was good. In fact, the reception was actually much better for cellular calls in one area where I don't get a lot of things. But what I notice is that the Wi-Fi reception that I get on these smartphones is not as good as some of the other smartphones that I've used that come with Qualcomm chipset or even MediaTek Dimensity. So yes, in networking it's slightly lacking, I would say. Not a total deal breaker, but that is something that I noticed. Okay, this is by Abhishek Singh. If you were to convert a regular home to a smart home, what things you'll upgrade? Again, it depends what are the things that you use a lot. Or let's say, for example, my printer, that's there, the plug of that one it's a laser printer. It's very obscure position. So I've just used a smart switch, and if I just say the command, I won't say it. I say, Alexa, switch on the printer. It will switch on the printer. So I have automated a few lights. For example, right now I have this light. I'll just say the command, Alexa, switch off tube light. And it takes a couple of seconds and it will switch off this light. So some of the things I have automated, for example, water purifier I have automated. Some of the ACs plugs are automated. So it depends on what you do. In my new setup, actually, 70% of the stuff is like automated, but I'm not using all the automation. Only have enabled the automation, though I have smart plugs and all those things, smart switches. I have not enabled for everyone. What I'm doing is, what are the things that I use a lot? Those are the things that I'm automating. For example, water purifier, I thought I won't use it, but that is, I don't like things to be switched on 24 hours. They consume a lot of power, and power fluctuations and stuff like that, they get damaged. So Whenever like the water level falls, anybody in the house just says switch on the water purifier and it fills, and we know that it fill in about 20-25 minutes, and with the voice command we just, so it's the convenience thing. And also ACs, I would say, are all a good thing. You can automate. Again, if you're getting a new AC, those will be smart, you don't have to. But again, if you have an older AC, you can have a 16 amp smart plug attached to that, and you can just switch it on. Let's say you're reaching your house and it's summer, it's like, if it's on the top floor, your house will be baking, you know that you'll be reaching in 20 minutes, so you can just switch on the AC remotely. So stuff like that, I would say. Yes, I have been using smart home devices now for over 3 or 4 years, and I start to appreciate it now after a couple of years. In fact, in my new setup, also new house, my wife actually asked me, she was against all this automation, she's asked me a couple of things to why not you automate it. This is by Mohit. Any update on the Moto Edge 40? Will you cover this and your overall expectations from this device? We have seen the leaks of the Moto Edge 40. In fact, I had the briefing of the Moto Edge 40 with Motorola, and I am supposed to get the review on it. I haven't got it yet, so if I get it on time, I will definitely cover it. And from the specs point of view, what they are giving, it looks actually very, very good. It has a curved screen, it has actually eSIMs and stuff like that. A lot of things that you generally find in flagships, they are giving that. It will be very interesting to see how do they price that one. If they can price it around 35,000 or less, then it can be a very interesting device. But again, keeping my fingers crossed, I haven't got the review on it yet. I'm hoping to get it. If I get it before launch time, I will cover it. That was the many of you were asking me about the Poco F5. Due to courier delays or something, I never got the unit on time. That's the reason I simply did not cover it. This is by Ritesh. What are your thoughts if Google should or shouldn't switch to Snapdragon SoCs? Frankly, I want to switch from an iPhone to a Pixel device, but the heating issues and subpar performance is keeping me from doing. Yes, I also feel, though I like the Tensor chip on this one, you have that Titan chip for security and all those things. That's great, and it does a few AI things much better than other smartphones. But the problem is, as you have told, the heating issue is there on this smartphone, and specifically if you're using it on mobile data, these handset gets actually pretty hot. In fact, the Pixel 7a, this is the first Pixel I would say I did enjoy using, and in fact my primary SIM is still in this, but I'll quickly finish the review and remove my SIM, and that never happened with any Pixel device. Generally, whenever there is time to remove my primary SIM from Pixel, I get sad, but that won't be the case for this one 7a. And I think so major contributor to that is the chipset that is used. The Tensor G2 in our Indian conditions and mobile data, and specifically with 5G, is heating up quite a bit, and that's why I get a huge variation even in the battery life. If I'm on mobile data, I get very average battery life, but if I'm on Wi-Fi, I actually get much better battery life. So I feel yes, Google should pay a little bit attention on the heating issues and all this, the modem and all those things on these new Tensor chip. In the next generation, also it will be based on Samsung foundries only, because we know from the leaks that the Tensor G3 will be again based on Samsung foundries, but they'll be using the 4 nanometer process instead of the 5 nanometer process. It's supposed to be a new one, so I'm just keeping my fingers crossed. But again, if even with the G3, if they have the similar problems, then Google should seriously think to move out from the Exynos based, Samsung's base to Qualcomm or even MediaTek Diamond City, in my frank opinion. But again, we can only wish. This is by Amit. He's saying, hope you are doing fine. My question is, nowadays phones are becoming more and more saturated. In your opinion, in how many years we should change our phone to see the real difference in performance and camera and other things? I would say if you're having a decent premium mid-range or a flagship Android smartphone, you really don't need to change it every year. In fact, I would say if it's a flagship Android smartphone, you don't have to technically change it you should change it in 3 years. That way you will see a good upgrade, I would say. I have seen that many people upgrade just about after 2 years. Yes, there are the marketing gimmicks, that 100 megapixel camera, 200 megapixel camera, but when you look at the real difference, when you see them, it's not a huge difference. So if you upgrade every year, you might have buyer's remorse after a year, after using the new shiny device. After 4-5 days, you'll notice, oh, this is very similar to the device that I've upgraded. So for flagships, I would say around 3 years is a very good time, because once you upgrade from that, the upgrade cycle will be significant, that you'll see that a lot of performance improvements. And generally, I would say nowadays, for even mid-range Android smartphones, you don't need to upgrade it every year. Use the smartphone till it does the job, man. These smartphones, we have that age is gone when every generation of smartphones you were noticing a huge performance improvement or huge improvements. Now the performance curve, it used to be like this. Now it's like very, very similar to like minor improvements that you want to see. So really, you don't have to upgrade it every year. For sort of flagships, at least 3 years you can pull. For mid-ranges, about 2 odd years, I would say. This is by Jeet. What do you think about the after-sale service of any smartphone brand in India? Why government is not interfering? These brands are like politicians. First they promise and they forget about the promises that way. Yes, I would say in last 2 years we started to have a lot of hardware issues with a lot of smartphones, like the screen issue, the screens getting lines on the screen, motherboards getting affected after updates and stuff like that. And sadly, in India, our Indian governments don't have any strong, consumer law. If this was in Europe, no manufacturer would have dared to do this. Like in Europe, they have very, very strict, consumer protection laws. And I hope Indian government pays a little bit attention towards this one. This is by Anuj. He's saying, what are your thoughts on companies providing additional layers of security on their smartphone? Example, ThinkShield in Moto and Knox in Samsung smartphones. Do we really need them in real life smartphone usage, or it's just a gimmick? It's definitely not a gimmick. But again, if you are asking this question, you are just a normal sort of a user where security of your device is not paramount important. But let's say if you are in a corporate environment or something like that. In fact, I know in many MNCs and stuff like that, they only allow Apple iPhones, Samsung high-end phones that have Knox security, and even Pixel, because Pixel also, we forget, it has the Titan chip. It's a separate chip that has it. What happens is, in general Android also, there is encryption, but with these, some of the higher-end smartphones and stuff that you have told, for example, Samsung has that Knox, this Pixel phones have the Titan M2 security, and others. These are hardware encryptions that happen. So even let's say if your phone gets lost or the access is gone, a person who gets this device, he won't be able to actually read the data. And for normal user, I would say this is not important. But let's say if you're working in a corporate environment or something where you might have information about products or whatever that is coming after 8 months or a year or so, security like that is very, very important. So yes, for a business-centric user or stuff like that, this is not a gimmick. This is actually a requirement in some of the higher-end companies and MNCs. They will just not allow you to use a normal smartphone. They want this hardware security also, apart from whatever the software security is there. So I hope that answers the question. This is by, for example, on many of the, in fact, on the Pixel, because of the Titan, security chip that it has, your fingerprint, actually what it is there, it is actually stored on the chip itself. It's a separate layer. So that way, it adds a different layer of security. So it's not a gimmick, I would say. But again, for normal user, if you're just a normal casual user or something, this might not be very important for you. Okay, this is by Sen Gupta. Now, multiple companies come with foldable smartphones, but price is not decreasing. With the price of the foldable phones might decrease in the near future, or it will take time, because middle class users like me can't afford the current pricing. Sen Gupta, I don't see the foldables pricing to come down drastically as of now, and foldables still would be the top end, highest end phone from any manufacturer. So that is not going to actually change even in the next 2 years, because still the foldable smartphones are pretty expensive to build. And if you notice, all the manufacturers, even Oppo has got into this now, foldables. What they are doing is they are positioning the foldables on for their most premium lineup, and I don't think so that will change in the next 1.5 years. Still foldables will command a significant premium, at least for the next 2 odd years. This is by Shubham. Is OLED TV really worth to buy now in the market of QLED? And still, what are the strong zones where OLED is still superior to the QLED? Is it possible that we'll have 8K OLED in the future? Okay, Shubham, I get quite a few questions like this between OLED and QLED. And I have both OLED TVs and QLED TVs. In fact, I have 2 QLED TVs. One is a 65-inch. First, let me talk about the QLED TVs. I have a 65-inch 4K QLED TV from Samsung, and I also have an 8K Samsung TV, that is a QLED, that is a 75-inch. And I have a OLED TV also, and that's an older one. In fact, in 2018, I got the LG OLED, that's just a 55-inch. And in fact, I would say, though the differences become very, very close, in some of the pretty dark scenes and stuff like that, I prefer the OLED. The only advantage I would say the QLED has is that if your TV is in a very bright room, for example, a lot of windows are there and light shines on that. In that area, I would say the QLEDs go ahead, because the QLEDs are way more brighter than the OLEDs. But again, if lighting in your room or drawing room you can control, then I would say still the picture quality is slightly superior on the OLED. You get that inky black and that contrast level. The picture quality has a different texture to it, which I actually prefer. But the problem with the OLEDs is that yes, these days you're getting OLEDs up to 75-77 inches also, but after that they become prohibitively expensive. And yes, 8K OLEDs are not there. We might get it, but again, it will be super expensive, I would say. So again, it depends. I like both. I have both. And QLED, I would say the big advantage of QLED, as I've told you, there's a lot of ambient light in the room that you are having, because the QLEDs can go very bright, way brighter than the OLEDs. That's the only advantage. But I've noticed this, that when you're watching movies and stuff, that you really do not need those crazy high level of brightness like 2000 nits or whatever. The QLED, OLED TV is also sufficiently bright, and you get a very immersive experience. The only thing is lighting should be a little bit controlled in a OLED room. And because OLED also, most of the OLED TVs screen act like a mirror. So if there are a lot of reflections in your room, you will see that when the TV is not showing. That is not the case with the QLED. QLED generally masks out the I'm not getting the word, reflections a lot better than OLED. But OLED, again, if I'm a purist, I would say I love watching movies and I can control the light in the room. OLED any day. Anyways, moving to the next one. This is by Hitesh. Okay, EV related questions. What are your views on the this is Nexon EV Max Plus Lux Dark Edition. Is it worth to buy, or should I wait for the facelift version of the EV plan to be launched by next year? We know that the Nexon, regular Nexon should be getting the facelift anytime soon. Generally, what happens with this one is that the EV version is released a little bit later. So as you expect, yes, we might get the new Nexon EV facelift after like 5-6 months. I'm just guessing. I'm just assuming, because initially they'll launch the regular Nexon, and after that 3-4 months they will launch the EV. So if you can wait, you waited. But with the EV Max Lux Dark Edition that they launched just about a month ago, significant improvement I would say is the touch screen. Now it's a lot better. Earlier one was a matte one. I didn't like that, so they improved that, I would say. But if you're really looking for a facelift edition, then you'll have to actually wait, and it's up to you if you can wait. It might be 5 months, 6 months. Can you wait? That is a question that you need to answer. I have the regular Nexon EV Max, and I'm very happy with the car. Anyways, there are some rumors also they might change the battery capacity also on the facelifted Nexon EV Max. So we just don't know. It's too many variables. This is by Arpit. Are EV still a success if we are still using electricity generated from non-renewable resources to charge them? Should we wait for more adoption of renewable energy resources before switching to EV for environmental causes? Okay, Arpit, if you don't know, as of now in India, about 38% of the electricity that we generate is from renewable sources. So yes, the other chunk is from coal and all those things. But still, I would say EVs produce a lot less pollution compared to what you say fuel cars. For example, the power that you get from the EV, what you charge, almost 90% of the power is actually converted to the movement of the wheels, and that's why hybrids, if you know, which is a combination of regular fuel and they have a small battery, get almost double the mileage. In a regular car, the fuel that you burn, only about 25 or just about 20 to 25% of the fuel that you burn is produced to the energy. So that way I would say still EVs are way more efficient. So that way even though that we are not 100% renewable and we can't, but the good thing is that 38% of the power that we generate in India is from renewable sources. So again, it will produce less pollution, I would say, EVs compared to ICE car any day. And again, if you have a house, for example, what I did, I have roof space on my new house, and I put a solar plant. So if you have roof space, you can put your own solar plant. In fact, I'm charging my Nexon EV with 100% renewable power right now. In fact, I'm producing so much power that I'm actually supplying power to the grid, green power to the grid as of now. So to answer your question, yes. Still, I would say, even with that 38% green energy that we have, EVs will be a lot less polluting than conventional ICE engines. Okay, so that was the last question, guys. So again, I hope you found this tech Q&A session helpful. Again, we'll be doing next session in about 2 odd weeks from now. Anyways, guys, if you're still not subscribed to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. I will be posting the full in-depth review of this Pixel 7a soon, so stay tuned for that. And I think so. I will also try to post the full review of the OnePlus 11. It's not a perfect phone, but again, considering the current situation that we have among Android smartphone, I feel this is a pretty practical phone. Yes, there are some flaws, but I'll try to cover these two full in-depth reviews also very soon, so stay tuned to the channel. Anyways, guys, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. This is Ranjit, and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care, guys.